Hey, everybody, what is going on? Siri Love Jive here, and today we're going to be talking about some new Rust Console Edition next gen news. So, next generation of Rust Console is coming. It's going to be coming this year to the Xbox Series S, Xbox Series S, and the PlayStation 5. And we've got some new information. We got some leaks we're going to be going into later, but first things first, let's go over some official news, some things that have actually been dropped that we know are going to happen. These are the screenshots from the console edition of Rust. We're going to be diving into these screenshots, going over what they mean, what they show, and what we can ascertain from them. So we've got a tugboat to cover, we've got a Hazy suit to cover, and then we've got some wolves. So yeah, let's jump into this, and then, like I said, after that, we'll get into some leaks that may or may not be true. I think they are, but we'll go into that in a little bit. So first things first, the screenshots. Let's pull them up. Let's pull them up. Let's pull these babies up, right? First one we've got is a ship, and this is the clearest screenshot where you can see like huge differences here, right? First, you're looking at the old console edition Rust. You got that flat water that doesn't really look like much. You got some snow caps in the background. It overall looks pretty bland in my opinion. Then you jump over to the new screenshot. It's got a little bit of that like Mexico vibe going on. I don't know what's going on there with the filters, the 11, but the water looks a lot better. The rock surfaces, if you zoom in on those, you can see there's a little bit more texture to them. If you look at the boat, there's a little bit more detail there. Overall, I think that these screenshots show the next gen console edition of Rust in the best light. Later on, there's some things that I don't think look the best, but this looks beautiful. Honestly, the water is probably the big thing that they fixed. This is the big thing that looks different. I know there's some people that are complaining, but some people just like to complain. I'm one of them, but I'm not complaining about this. It looks better. It looks honestly, this looks like something that you'd get out of the PC edition. Maybe you got to turn down some graphics to get it, but I could see this showing up on the PC edition. It looks beautiful. It really does. Boats, there you can see like there's a little bit more detail, a little bit more texturing to the boats, but a lot of that, it doesn't feel like they did too much. They might have updated the textures a little bit, but like maybe the textures are higher resolution, but I think that's all that you're seeing going on with the boat. But if you look at the water, that's where the big improvement is. Also with the rocks, it looks like there's something going on with the terrain generation that might have changed. The terrain looks a little bit rockier. It looks a little bit better overall. There's a little bit more like bumps to it. So I feel like there might be some terrain updates that's going on there, but it's hard to tell just from one image. Next up, let's jump over to the Hazy suit. So this one, you can tell they went full on Mexico. We're going down south for this one. Like, if you look at the like, there's something going on with filters, and they're trying to play that off as like an update. But I really don't know if it is. Like, you're just upping the warmth on the whole like. And that's not an update. That's just changing saturations and things like that. Like anybody can do that. I can do that with images. I can do that with videos. Like whether or not this is post processing that they're doing or just something the game's doing, it looks different. I wouldn't say that looks better, right? Like you see right now, like you look at the old screenshot, it looks more like colorful and it doesn't have that like warmth to it. You look at the new screenshot, it looks almost the same, except there's a bit more warmth added. Big change here is the hazmat suit. So if you look at the hazmat suit from before, you look at it now, you can tell that the textures, the skins, it's been updated. There's a few more, what do they call them? The blocks, whatever, right? Like you can tell it has a few more like poly blocks or polygons that are on it. And it looks better. It looks smoother. It doesn't have those like janky lines. And the textures have been updated. It looks better. The hazmat suit is something that they've definitely updated. Now, let's look at the background because it's important to look at this, right? Like the hazmat suit is good to see. So you can tell hazmat suits, armor, all of that's been updated. This also means that most likely your skins are going to be higher texture skins. We'll get into that later. There's a leak that talked about that, and like there's been a little bit of like pushing and prodding here and there that I've done, and it seems like we'll go into that later. Anyways, you look at the skins, it looks better. You look at the fingers; those things still look freaky. Like honestly, this is some Slenderman shit that we got going on here. Those fingers are longer than my D if we're looking at it. Like look at this thing. Like look at the grip that this Hazy suit has on that gun. Like look at that hand. What is going on there? Like those are some sausage fingers if I've ever seen them, and those are some weird fingers if I've seen fingers. D11. Let's not give kids nightmares here. Let's fix those fingers. But overall, like it doesn't. I think it's actually the camera or something. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with those fingers. But overall, it does look better. But you can tell like if you just look at the fingers and positioning the models and everything like this. This isn't like a huge update. This is just a reskinning of the game, really. The texture's been updated. And then if you look in the background, if you look at these textures, like just zoom in on the background, a lot of this gas station stuff, it does look the same. Like all the marks, everything like that, it all is the same in my opinion. There might be some ray tracing or something that's been added like post processing, but overall, like the image looks the same. Like the gravel on the ground, you look at that gravel on the ground, it looks a little bit updated. There's a little bit more texture to it, but overall, it's pretty much the same. Like a lot of the like pavement breaks, everything like that. You zoom in on those. To be honest, with the pavement, with the like pavers, it looks almost the same. It's just that little bit of tint that's been changed. The tint sometimes looks better, sometimes looks worse, but honestly, like I don't think it's that big of an update when you look at some of this stuff. Like if you look at the gas station model itself, what is so different about this gas station versus the last one? Like just go back and forth between the images, and you can see there's been some like lightning that's been done so that the shadows look a little bit more vibrant and things like that. There's changes to how the lighting has been done, and I think that is an overall positive change. But it doesn't look like the textures have been updated too much when it comes to all these other things in the game. It looks like the textures have been updated when it comes to the skins and stuff that you're going to be wearing, like the hazmat suit and some of the characters, but it doesn't look like everything's been updated. We're going to jump over to the wolf now, and you can see the same thing. Like the wolf itself has been updated. It looks better. Like there's no shot that you're going to look at these two images and say that the old one is better than the new one. The new one's just better. It's more vibrant. It's fuller. It looks more real. Like you can actually see a little bit of fur on this bad boy. The teeth. Look at those teeth. That looks like it could really suck a mean D. I mean, it's just like it looks better. It looks better, right? But now let's focus on the background again. The background, the sky in this one, it looks like it's a little bit like blown out almost, right? It looks like it's like you know how sometimes like you're taking a photo with your iPhone and you're like, this is gonna be a perfect photo, but then you aim it right at the sun and it looks a little bit blown out. It looks like this thing just got blown out here, right? Like I like the coloring better on the old gen. I really do. When I look at the new gen, it just looks too blown out. The coloring doesn't it's not doing it for me. It's like they added too much like sun flare or something like that. It just looks like everything's I don't know. This time they didn't go with that Latin American tint. This is a little bit different. This looks more like a Berlin-esque thing that they're doing here, but it just like something's off. I feel like with the shadows or the saturation. I think it might be like highlight, shadow, or they're trying to add some warmth to the game and they've added a little bit too much for me. But it feels a little bit off when you look at everything else. So when you look at like the pavement, everything like that, to me, the old pavement looks better, I'd say. Looking at this, like, you can see the lines, everything like that's still the same, the grass is still coming through awkwardly. But in the old one, it does look a little bit better to me. It looks a little bit better, I'd say, and I think a lot of that just has to do with the shadows, but I think it's important to call this out, that the changes are mainly to the models. This is also gonna give some, like, light to some of these like, this is how I'm doing it, like, I waited for all these screenshots to come out just to confirm some of the leaks I've gotten and make sure that it at least seems like it's going down the right path. But yeah, if you look in the background, like everything looks about the same. It looks like they just reskinned a lot of the newer models and they did something maybe with the lighting or something like that. And again, like the lighting, like I know people are gonna be like, Serial, you're calling out the lighting, the shadows, blah blah blah. Like these are easy things for them to fix. This is something that like if enough people comment on videos and say, hey, I don't like the lighting, D11 can go in and fix this. So this isn't really like that big of a deal in my opinion. And it's not something that makes or breaks the game. It's just when I look at this, it looks like the other one has like a fuller amount of coloring, whereas the new one looks like blown out and faded. And I like the fuller coloring better. So now that's all the screenshots I've got. Let's go into the leaks though. So this stuff, a lot of this is all unverified. It would be extremely unprofessional, I think, for someone at D11 to just go on and be like, Serial, this is right, this is wrong, blah blah blah. Like they're not going to do that, right? And they're like they've commented on some other leaks that other people have posted and said this is wrong or don't do this. It's giving people unrealistic expectations, and I think some of it is. I think some of it is. So, just with a grain of salt. Things might be right, they might be wrong. I haven't verified any of this because honestly, if someone over at D11 did confirm or deny this, it could cost them their jobs if I'm like, yeah, I confirmed it with Pedro, and he said like he's not going to do that because he could lose his job for doing that. The only thing they can do is deny things and try to make sure that expectations aren't set too high. And even from those denials, you can learn a few things. So first off, when it comes to poker, blackjack, everything like that, it's not being added in the next generation version. It seems like that's not something they plan to do. I'm unsure why. I think there are some issues with gambling and adding gambling. I'm not sure if it's a country-based thing or PlayStation, Xbox-based thing or what. It seems like there's some issues with gambling that they really don't want to tackle, and the PC edition has no problem doing it. So my guess is it's not like a country-to-country thing. It's probably more of a platform thing. Maybe PlayStation is against it, Xbox is against it. I don't know. Like Red Dead and some other games do have stuff that's gambling focused. You still do have the wheel that you spin, the scrap wheel, but maybe it's like if a certain percent of the game content is gambling based, that changes things, and they're thinking this might put it over the edge. I don't really know what's going on there, but no gambling, no extra gambling features are going to be added for the next generation edition of Rust, at least not now and not for the foreseeable future. When I say that, we're talking maybe like a year or two out. Now, when it comes to the game, everything like that, the fluid physics have obviously changed. That was part of like a leak that someone posted. That leak, I don't think is true, but that was part of the leak that someone posted. If you look at it, it does seem like that's true. The fluid physics do seem to have been changed. Look at the waves. There's waves now. You can see that just in that preview that they dropped. The textures have been updated. We covered this already. Looking at the thing, textures have been updated. In addition to that, it looks like skins have been updated. So skins aren't going to be changed in a way where the skins look different. But I think the skins are going to be higher textures. At least that's what it sounds like. They've just been like, it sounds almost like when the skins were originally made, they were made at a higher resolution, and then they were brought down so that it could be used across all the consoles and released to Rust Console Edition. And now all they're doing is just using like a less downgraded version of the skins, and you get to play with those. And that actually does sound pretty cool. Like I'm a big fan of that. So skins are going to be better. Now, when it comes to monuments being added, it sounds like it's hard to make a guess at this, but from the rumor mill, from what people are saying, there's a few things that have been added. First of all, it sounds like a lot of this that has been done so to allow things like mini copters and hot air balloons and all of that to be coming about at some point. It doesn't sound like those things are going to be released on the drop, but it does sound like those are planned fairly, fairly frequently, fairly like decently after launch. Like, within a year, I think we could see hot air balloons and maybe mini copper. There's going to be some revamps. So a lot of the old monuments that you've got are going to match the PC. So if you're looking at something like Junkyard, that's going to be changed. I don't know if they're going to have the crane or anything like that, but it's going to look more like Junkyard that you see on PC. And it seems like some of the custom maps are going to be brought over. So I know they're already experimenting with the donut map, I think it's called, on the West branch of Rust Console. I think it's only on test right now, but they're experimenting with that. It seems like that's going to be brought over for the next gen edition of Rust. I'm not even sure if that's going to be released for current gen, but I think it'll definitely be coming to next gen. And I think that's going to be released on drop. In addition, it seems like this is going to allow for support of other things. So right now you only really have horses, but it seems like they will be able to add things like bikes, vehicles, everything like that to the next generation Rust. So big thing here, the big takeaway here from what I'm getting is that the next generation Rust, the big thing it's going to be doing is not necessarily just adding new monuments. I haven't heard anything about new monuments because the thing is, I haven't been able to ascertain whether or not the map sizes are going to increase. It sounds like that's a possibility, but I don't know because that's going to change server prices and things like that. So if the map sizes don't increase, it doesn't make sense to be dropping so many new monuments and everything like that, but it also doesn't make as much sense to be dropping all these vehicles and things. So I'm not sure. I feel like map sizes will increase, but that's just Serial Overdrive talking out his you know what, right? Now, when it comes to things that are going to be added, it seems like a big reason for this change is so you can get next gen over and using vehicles. So we're talking mini copters, right? We're talking all the helicopters, all the flying things, and we're talking about vehicles, cars, bikes. I think cars and bikes are the main ones, but all the vehicles are going to be added over, and some of the boat stuff that you're seeing. So it just seems like overall they're trying to update the game in a way that allows for more player customization. So all that customization that you see on the PC version of Rust, it seems like that is eventually going to be coming over to the next generation console edition of Rust. When it comes to new monuments, just pouring over everything that's been talked about and what I can get from just the squeaks and stuff that come out of people that are actually working with the console edition Rust testing things and all that. I don't know. I don't know what's coming with those. It doesn't seem like there's anything too crazy new monuments that are going to be released on drop, but they could be holding something in their back pocket. Seems like the big thing with this is just to update all the skins, get it over to the next generation of consoles, get those like updated textures in everybody's hands, get the game looking better, get the water flowing better, and allow for things to be added like mini copters, vehicles, and all of that. Because I think that's what I think that's what players really want. I don't think there's that many players out there who are screaming for more monuments. What players want, I think, is more customizability, and they want more of those features to be added to Rust. And it sounds like that's what we're going to be getting. Anyways, hope this video was interesting. Hope this helped. Hope this brought up some new things, and hopefully this isn't just a boatload of misinformation. Like I said, take everything with a grain of salt. These are just things coming out of the rumor mill. And sometimes that mill is wrong. Sometimes, you think it's producing pure gold and it turns out to be something else. And it doesn't smell nice. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, peace.